Did you feel that? Yeah, right there. They thought they had you trapped, huh? But guess what? Oh, they finally realized you are smarter. Nah, not just a little smarter than their entire strategy. You see, they've been plotting, scheming, whispering behind closed doors, thinking they could control the game. But you? Yeah, you've been 3 steps ahead watching it all. Laughing quietly, silently, planning your next move. And here's the thing. This video? Yeah, it's for you. For every mind sharp enough to see the patterns, for every soul patient enough to rise above the noise, for every one of you grinding quietly while the world shouts. This is your moment. Oh, pay attention, because we're about to break it all down. Every trick, every scheme, every blind move they made against you, revealed and exposed, you'll see why they finally noticed your brilliance. Welcome to our channel Darkness Throne. So, stay locked in. Don't scroll. Comment below when you feel that spark. Let us know, how many times have you outsmarted them quietly? Yeah, I know you're not alone. And real talk, you deserve this tribute. Every single one of you who keeps your mind sharp. Every one of you who refuses to be distracted. This is for you. You are the unseen force. The calm in the storm, the strategy they never saw coming. And yeah, we're about to celebrate it. They thought the game was theirs, until they realized it never was. Do you feel that? That sharp twist in your chest when the world finally blinks and sees you. Yeah, it's a moment you've waited for. A moment that's electric, violent in its clarity. Every step they took, every move they plotted, every whisper behind closed doors, they all thought it mattered. They believed their strategy could trap you, corner you, control you. Nah, they didn't even see the chessboard you've been drawing in your mind. And now, it's happening. They're looking. They're counting. And for the first time, they understand. They see it in your calm, in your silence, in the way your eyes linger on problems and dismantle them without a sound. They thought chaos would rattle you. They thought noise could drown your thought. But you've been listening in a language they will never speak. Every move they make is a shadow. And every shadow bends under your light. You aren't reacting. You're constructing, building, predicting, crafting an architecture of thought so sharp it cuts through every barrier they've built. It's beautiful, brutal, and they feel it. That prickling unease, that undeniable doubt. Do you hear their hearts racing? Because now, finally, they're aware. Let's be honest. They underestimated you. They underestimated your patience, your discipline, your vision. They measured power with noise and smoke, not with focus and clarity. They assumed strategy was just a set of pieces moving across a board. But you are the board. You are the rules. Every tactic they whispered in confidence, every scheme they celebrated in secret, has been studied, analyzed, absorbed. And oh, the look on their faces when the realization hits. It's almost funny, almost, but don't smile just yet. That moment of clarity, for them, is only the beginning of a reckoning they cannot escape. And now, the fear. Yes, fear isn't loud here. It's subtle, quiet. It creeps in like a shadow, stretching over a bright city. They feel it, they taste it, that nagging sense that the ground beneath them is no longer stable. They trusted that chaos could win, that numbers, connections, or noise could drown you. They were wrong. Every plan they wrote in confidence now trembles in the wind of your understanding. Every step they thought was forward is now just a part of a path you've already predicted. And the question that hovers heavy and dark in the air is, what will they do now? Oh, they will try. They will move. They will lash out. But you are not moved. You are the calm center in a storm they can barely imagine. Their strategy is a cage, and you are the key. They finally realize it. And when they do, will they admit it? Will they bend, break, or crumble? Or will they fight blindly, unaware they are dancing to your rhythm, your plan, your vision? Fear is their shadow, and shadows are easy to chase. Do you feel it? That twitch in the air when their panic begins to whisper, "Oh, wow." Yeah, it's intoxicating. Not because you enjoy their weakness, but because it reveals the truth. The truth is simple. Their strategy, all their careful plans are fragile illusions. And you're not just seeing it, you're bending it. Every move they make, every trap they set, every game they think they control, you are already inside it, turning it upside down, seeing the cracks, calculating the escape they never imagined. Nah, they cannot touch this. Not yet. Not ever in the way they wanted. They think intelligence is loud. They shout their plans. They brag. They expose. They underestimate the quiet. But you are silence. Oh yes. Silence that watches, waits, and waits some more. Their fear is your map. Their whispers are your guide. And here's the twist. They don't even realize they are dancing to your rhythm. Every false step they take, every move made in arrogance, fuels your clarity. They believe they are hunting, but in reality, you are leading. Every shadow, every misdirection, it bends for you. And they are blind to the truth until it's too late. You have patience, real patience, not the fake kind people wear to seem wise. Your patience is sharp. It slices through the noise, and while they flail shouting instructions into the void, you are quiet, calculated, observing the patterns, tracing the paths, reading their intentions before they even exist. Oh yes, it's beautiful in its cruelty. Not the cruelty of harm, but the cruelty of awareness. You are awake, and they are still dreaming. And here is where most crumble. They confuse movement with progress. They think action means victory. Nah, it is only noise. And when the moment arrives to act, to respond, to strike, it will not be chaos that guides you. It will be precision. It will be clarity. It will be the quiet storm they never knew was gathering behind your eyes. And that is the true power, the ability to see their strategy in full, to let it unravel itself, to twist it against them without a single shout, without a single wasted motion. Power lives in the quiet corners where no one is looking. Oh? Do you feel that stillness? That silence that hums louder than their shouting? This is where they fail. While they rush, while they move in frantic circles, while they try to force the world to bend to their noise, you are still. You are patient. You are watching. Every thought, every detail, every pattern is yours to hold. and they can't touch it. Nah, not because they lack skill, but because they lack focus. They scatter their energy. You concentrate on yours. Precision is quiet, yet it is lethal. Every small act of discipline is a brick in a fortress they cannot enter. Every moment of calm is a weapon they cannot see. Yeah, discipline is misunderstood. People think it's just rules, routines, control. No, it is something deeper. It is the ability to master your mind when chaos erupts around you. When they scream, when they panic, when they try to provoke you, you do not react. You observe. You understand. And in that understanding, you grow stronger. Every noise they make is proof of your advantage. Every move they take in haste is fuel for your patience. Okanyanwat, when it tastes sweet. Not cruelly, but purely, because it is earned. You have prepared where they have wandered. You have studied where they have guessed. You have built where they have destroyed. And here is the truth they cannot face. Silence is not weakness. Silence is awareness. Silence is control. And control is everything. They will shout. They will push. They will try to force errors, to force reactions. But your calm is impenetrable. You bend around their chaos. You let it crash into itself. Every misstep they make, every false assumption, every frantic attempt to catch you, it strengthens your position. Yeah, every piece they move in haste is a gift, and you take it without hesitation, without pride, without sound. Just the quiet satisfaction of knowing you have seen it coming all along. And patience. Patience is more than waiting. It is endurance. It is knowing that the storm, no matter how violent, is temporary. That chaos, no matter how loud, will settle. That those who move recklessly will always reveal themselves to those who wait. Nah, they think they are clever. They think speed is strength. They are wrong. In this quiet, in this focus, you have built an edge that they cannot even comprehend. Every silent hour, every moment of unseen preparation is a step ahead they cannot undo. And the question that lingers in the shadow of their fear, when the storm comes, who will they blame? Betrayal is their gain, but foresight is yours. Do you feel it? The tension creeping in the air, the lies stretching like thin threads, the plans built on shaky trust? Yeah, they think manipulation is power. Nah. Manipulation is noise. It is temporary. It is weak. And yet, it is everywhere. People move like puppets, guided by what they think is cleverness. Unaware they are teaching you every secret, every pattern, every weakness. You watch, you wait, you learn. Every attempt to deceive only sharpens your vision. Every trap they set only reveals the path to mastery. And the best part, they don't even know. Yeah, it's brutal, isn't it? To see people so focused on control that they blind themselves. Oh, but there is poetry in it. There is clarity in the chaos they manufacture. Every whisper of deceit, every false gesture, every hidden agenda, it is a map. And you read it effortlessly. While they try to twist reality to suit their schemes, you shape reality quietly, ethically, with precision. You do not retaliate in chaos. You do not mirror their tricks. You move above it. And in that elevation, you gain a vantage they can never touch. And here is the truth. The world is full of patterns, patterns of loyalty, patterns of deceit, patterns of ambition. And those who are clever enough to see them are rare. They will attempt to bind you with their schemes, to confuse you with their plans, to pressure you into mistakes. Oh, and it almost works sometime, but not for long. Because every challenge, every false move, every attempt to manipulate you only strengthens your clarity, only hones your strategy, only reminds you that power is not loud, it is precise. And while they lash in anger and panic, you are calculating, you are steady, you are beyond their reach. But when you strike, it won't be their strategy that stops you. Think about that. When all their efforts fail, when the storms of betrayal and false confidence collapse around them, you remain calm, clear, prepared. They will see the consequences of their own choices, the results of the games they tried to play against you, and it will be inevitable. Not because you are reckless, not because you are vengeful, but because you understood the rules they ignored, the moves they underestimated, the truth they refused to see. And they will realize too late that the chessboard was never theirs to control. Every action, every plan, every attempt to dominate has been anticipated, understood, and transformed into advantage. They never saw the storm because it was always inside you. Can you feel it now? The air thick with realization, the subtle tremor of those who thought they could match your mind, your vision, your focus. Nah. They underestimated the quiet force you carried. They believed strategy was loud, that cleverness was chaos, that speed was strength. And yet here you are, still, calm, watching the world unravel in ways they could not predict. Every move they made, every plan they thought was hidden, it has been seen, analyzed, transformed. And now, everything aligns, every lesson learned, every hour spent in patience, every challenge faced quietly, comes together like a perfect storm. Oh, the irony of it. They spent their lives trying to control, to manipulate, to dominate. And in every effort, they handed you the blueprint of their weakness. They built their cage without realizing you were already outside of it, observing, understanding, preparing. Every whisper of doubt they sowed in others' minds, you turned into clarity. Every attempt to provoke, to distract, to pressure, only sharpened your focus. And here is the truth they cannot face. Power is not in the noise. Power is in the mind that bends reality with precision, and yours bends it with ease. Yeah, unseen power. That is what they fear most. Not strength, not aggression, not force. They fear the mind that moves 3 steps ahead, the presence that watches in silence, the strategy that has no need to shout. Oh yes, and it's intoxicating, the satisfaction of knowing you are prepared, that no move they make is hidden, that no chaos can shake the foundation you have built. They will scramble, they will panic, they will flail, and all the while, you remain calm, focused. The architect of outcomes they cannot touch, the observer who knows the final picture before the first brushstroke is laid. But here is the subtle cruelty of mastery. They think victory is theirs to claim, that influence can be taken by force or cleverness alone. Nah, victory is earned in silence, in discipline, in patience, in understanding. And when it finally arrives, when they see it too late, It is not a battle they lose. It is an awakening they cannot unsee. They realize the depth of your mind, the clarity of your thought, the unwavering patience that has guided every action, every choice, every hidden advantage. They will ask themselves, how could they have been so blind? How could one mind, one focus, one calm force surpass everything we built? And here is the final truth. They realize too late. You were always 3 steps ahead. Every move they plotted has been countered. Every plan they trusted has been predicted. Every attempt to trap, to manipulate, to control, has returned to them as proof of their own blindness. And in that realization, in that moment of silent reckoning, you stand alone, not in arrogance, not in malice, but in the pure clarity of knowing that preparation, patience, and understanding are forces stronger than any chaos, louder than any noise, deeper than any deception. And just like that, wow, they finally realized it. You were smarter all along. Yeah, they underestimated your patience, your focus, your mind. Nah, not anymore. They know now, and you've been watching it unfold silently, quietly, masterfully. Oh, that's power. Raw power. Without a single shout, without chaos, just strategy, clarity, dominance. But hey, this isn't just a video, it's a tribute to you. Every one of you who's been patient. Every one of you grinding quietly. Every one of you outthinking the noise. This is for you. You've earned it. Your focus, your discipline, your vision. It's all paying off. Yeah, and I want you to comment below. Tell me how many times you've been 3 steps ahead. Let the world see your power, your mind, your strategy. Oh wait, don't forget, share this with someone who needs to see it, someone who needs to feel that spark, that fire, that clarity, because they need to know the quiet ones, the patient ones, the thinkers are always the strongest. Yeah, seriously, never underestimate the calm mind, the sharp focus, the one who watches and learns while chaos screams around them. So, one last thing. Remember this. Every move they make, every plan they trust, every trap they set, it's already in your hands, already in your mind, already under control. You are smarter, faster, sharper, and now they know it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for grinding quietly. Thank you for being the mind that can see 3 steps ahead. Comment, share, engage, and never forget. You are the strategy they never saw coming. Every word exposed. The mic was live. And in that moment, the illusion shattered. Not because someone screamed the truth, but because silence finally stopped protecting the lie. You felt that moment before. The second when you realize the world has been watching, listening, recording, judging, and you can't rewind. The second when who you pretend to be collides with who you actually are. That's where this begins. Not in comfort, not in applause, but in exposure. Exposure reveals truth, not failure. And that's the part most people refuse to accept. When everything is exposed, your words, your habits, your inconsistencies, it feels like collapse, but in reality it is clarity. Failure isn't being seen at your weakest. Failure is staying blind to it. Exposure strips away the stories you tell yourself to stay comfortable. It removes the illusion that you're doing better than you actually are. And that moment hurts because comfort dies when truth shows up uninvited. Most people fear exposure because they confuse it with humiliation. They think being seen struggling means they are disqualified. But exposure doesn't disqualify you, it identifies you. It shows you exactly where you stand, not where you pretend to be. Pressure doesn't create weakness, it highlights it. Silence doesn't break you, it forces you to listen. When the mic is live and everything leaks out, what you're hearing isn't failure speaking, it's reality finally being honest. Growth cannot begin without exposure. You cannot fix what you refuse to see. You cannot strengthen what you keep hiding. Every breakthrough in discipline, mindset, and performance starts with a moment where denial collapses. That's why darkness is necessary. Darkness removes distractions. It removes applause. It removes excuses. In that space, you either confront yourself or you run, and running only delays the same confrontation. Exposure also reveals potential. When a weakness is exposed, it points directly to where power can be built. It tells you where to train, where to focus, where to stop negotiating with yourself. Without exposure, effort is scattered. With exposure, effort becomes precise. You stop guessing. You stop blaming. You start targeting. The problem is not being exposed. The problem is defending what exposure shows you. The moment you justify weakness, you protect it. The moment you explain instead of improve, you reinforce the limit. But when you accept exposure without ego, it becomes fuel. It sharpens you. It forces accountability. It demands action instead of talk. Every strong individual has faced a moment where they were laid bare, where excuses didn't work, where identity cracked, where truth stood uncomfortably close. That moment didn't destroy them. It redirected them. It marked the line between who they were and who they were willing to become. Exposure is not the end of the story. It is the opening sentence. What you do after being exposed determines everything. You either shrink to protect your pride, or you rise to rebuild your standards. And only one of those choices leads to power. Your actions speak louder than your words, because life does not listen to intention. It listens to behavior. You can say the right things, promise change, claim ambition, and declare commitment, but none of that carries weight if your daily actions contradict it. Words are easy. Actions cost something. They require effort, discipline, and sacrifice, which is why they always tell the truth before your mouth ever does. Every habit you repeat is a broadcast. The way you wake up, the way you manage time, the way you respond to discomfort, the way you quit quietly, these behaviors speak continuously. Even when no one is watching, even when no one is applauding, life is recording patterns, and patterns become outcomes. You don't get what you say you want, you get what your actions prove you're willing to work for. People often confuse being busy with being effective. They talk about how hard they're trying, how much they're thinking, how serious they feel. But movement without direction is just noise. Action without consistency is just performance. What matters is what you do repeatedly, especially when motivation is gone. That's where truth lives. That's where identity is built. Excuses are loud, but results are louder. You can explain why something didn't work, why the timing wasn't right, why circumstances were unfair, but explanations don't change reality. Reality only responds to execution. That's why discipline is respected universally. It doesn't need validation. It shows up whether you feel like it or not, and over time, it separates those who talk from those who transform. When actions don't align with words, self-trust erodes. Each broken promise you make to yourself weakens your confidence. Eventually, your mind stops believing you. That's when motivation disappears, not because you're incapable, but because you've trained yourself to ignore your own commitments. Rebuilding that trust doesn't start with affirmations. It starts with small, undeniable actions repeated daily. The uncomfortable truth is that you are already speaking through what you tolerate, what you delay, and what you allow to continue. Silence doesn't hide inaction, it amplifies it. Time exposes everything. Sooner or later, the gap between words and actions becomes impossible to ignore. Alignment is power. When what you say matches what you do, pressure loses control over you. Confidence stops being something you perform and becomes something you carry. Not because you talked yourself into believing, but because your actions made belief unavoidable. In the end, people won't remember what you claimed you would do. They will remember what you built, what you finished, and how consistently you showed up. Because when the mic is live, actions don't whisper, they testify. Self-deception is the real enemy because it allows you to stay comfortable while slowly erasing your potential. It doesn't show up loudly or violently. It whispers. It reassures you that you're doing enough, that tomorrow will be better. That circumstances are the problem, not you. And the danger is that it sounds reasonable. It feels safe. It protects your ego while quietly stealing your future. Most people aren't held back by lack of ability. They're held back by the lies they repeat daily. I'm tired. I'll start when things settle down. This is just how I am. These aren't facts, they're agreements. Every time you accept them without challenge, you reinforce a ceiling over your life. Self-deception doesn't need you to fail completely. It just needs you to delay consistently. Small delays repeated long enough create permanent stagnation. What makes self-deception so powerful is that it disguises itself as self-care, patience, or realism. It convinces you that lowering standards is maturity and that avoiding discomfort is wisdom. But growth has never been comfortable, and realism without discipline quickly becomes surrender. When you stop demanding more from yourself, you teach your mind that comfort outranks progress. The hardest lies to confront are the ones that make you feel good. They protect you from guilt, responsibility, and urgency. But the absence of guilt does not mean the absence of consequence. Time does not negotiate. Life does not pause because you needed space. While you're justifying inaction, opportunities are expiring quietly. Self-deception also damages self-respect. On some level, you know when you're lying to yourself. You feel it when you avoid the work you promised to do. You hear it when you rationalize quitting. That internal fracture grows. Confidence fades, not because you failed publicly, but because you failed privately and pretended it didn't matter. The moment self-deception ends is uncomfortable. It feels like betrayal, like turning against your own excuses. But that discomfort is freedom. It returns control. When you stop lying to yourself, you stop needing elaborate explanations. Your focus sharpens. Your effort becomes honest. Truth is ruthless, but it's efficient. It doesn't waste energy. It points directly to what must change. And once you see clearly, you can no longer pretend you don't know. That's why clarity feels heavy. It comes with responsibility. Self-deception keeps you safe. Truth makes you powerful. You don't defeat the world first. You defeat the lies that keep you small. And once those are gone, progress stops being confusing. It becomes inevitable. The inner dialogue shapes the outer reality, because every repeated thought becomes a command. Long before actions show up, thoughts set the direction. The way you speak to yourself in silence builds the framework for how you move in the world. If that internal voice is uncertain, critical, or weak, your behavior will quietly follow its lead. Not because you lack ability, but because your mind has already decided the limits. Most people underestimate how powerful their private conversations are. They believe words only matter when spoken out loud, but the brain doesn't make that distinction. What you repeat internally becomes familiar, and what becomes familiar feels true. Over time, those thoughts stop sounding like opinions and start sounding like facts. That's when hesitation becomes normal, self-doubt feels justified, and playing small feels safe. Your inner dialogue controls your response to pressure. When discomfort shows up, the mind either commands retreat or demands endurance. That decision happens in milliseconds, based on what you've trained yourself to say internally. If your self-talk negotiates with fear, fear gains authority. If it challenges fear, discipline takes control. The outer result is simply the echo of that internal exchange. Negative inner dialogue doesn't always sound harsh. Sometimes it sounds calm and logical. It tells you to slow down, to not overdo it, to wait until conditions are better. But comfort disguised as logic is still limitation. The mind will always choose the path it has been rehearsing. If you've rehearsed doubt, you will perform doubt. If you've rehearsed strength, strength becomes automatic. Changing your life doesn't start with changing circumstances. It starts with changing the tone of the voice inside your head. That doesn't mean empty positivity or denial. It means precision. It means speaking to yourself with standards instead of emotions. You don't need hype, you need authority. The kind that doesn't ask how you feel, but reminds you of what must be done. Consistency in inner dialogue builds identity. When you repeatedly command yourself to act despite resistance, you become someone who moves forward under pressure. Confidence then becomes a byproduct, not a goal. You stop waiting to feel ready, because readiness is no longer a requirement. The world responds to the version of you that your mind authorizes. If your inner voice doubts you, the world will reflect hesitation. If your inner voice demands execution, reality will eventually comply. You are always listening to yourself. The question is whether that voice is training you to retreat or conditioning you to rise. Because once the inner dialogue changes, the outer reality has no choice but to follow. Ownership creates power because responsibility is the moment you stop being at the mercy of circumstances. The instant you accept that no one is coming to save you, something shifts internally. Excuses lose their usefulness. Blame loses its comfort. Waiting loses its appeal. You stop scanning the outside world for permission and start demanding results from yourself. That is where control begins. Most people resist ownership because it feels heavy. Taking responsibility means you can no longer hide behind unfairness, bad luck, or other people's mistakes. It forces you to admit that even if something wasn't your fault, it is still your responsibility to deal with. That truth is uncomfortable, but it is also liberating. Because what you take responsibility for, you gain the power to change. Blame weakens you because it gives control away. Every time you blame circumstances, people, timing, or past experiences, you hand your power to something you cannot control. Ownership does the opposite. It pulls power back into your hands. It doesn't deny reality, it commands your response to it. You may not control what happened, but you control what happens next. When you own your situation fully, your focus sharpens. You stop wasting energy explaining and start investing energy fixing. Problems become tasks. Setbacks become data. Failure becomes instruction instead of identity. That shift changes how you move. You become proactive instead of reactive. Calm under pressure instead of emotional. Ownership also builds self-respect. Each time you choose responsibility over excuse, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of handling your life. That belief compounds. Confidence grows quietly, not from praise but from proof. Proof that you can be trusted to show up, to adapt, to endure. Powerful people are not those with the least problems, but those who take the most responsibility. They don't wait for ideal conditions. They act inside imperfect ones. They don't ask who's at fault. They ask what must be done. That mindset creates momentum, and momentum changes outcomes faster than motivation ever will. Ownership is not harshness, it is honesty. It does not require self-attack or guilt. It requires clarity. You look at your life as it is, not as you wish it were, and you decide to carry the weight instead of avoiding it. Strength grows under weight. The moment you stop waiting to be rescued is the moment you start becoming dangerous, in the best sense. Because when you own everything, you are controlled by nothing. Relentless execution beats motivation because motivation is emotional and temporary, while execution is structural and reliable. Motivation rises and falls based on mood, environment, and external validation. Execution doesn't care how you feel. It operates on decision, routine, and repetition. That's why people who wait to feel inspired stay stuck, while people who act without inspiration keep moving forward. Motivation feels powerful in the moment, but it has no endurance. It fades when discomfort shows up, when progress is slow, when results aren't immediate. Execution, on the other hand, thrives in those conditions. It doesn't ask for excitement, it demands commitment. And commitment, repeated daily, creates momentum that motivation alone can never sustain. Confidence is not built by thinking about action. It is built by taking action. Each completed task, each kept promise, each finished session sends a signal to the mind that you are reliable. That signal compounds. Over time, fear loses its authority, not because it disappears, but because it's no longer obeyed. Execution trains courage through movement, not emotion. Most people underestimate how powerful boring consistency is. They want dramatic change, massive breakthroughs, instant transformation. But real progress is quiet. It looks repetitive. It feels uneventful. And that's why it works. While others chase intensity, execution compounds silently. The gap widens slowly, then suddenly, and by the time it's visible, it's already too late to close. Relentless execution also removes overthinking. Action clarifies. Instead of guessing what might work, you test. Instead of fearing failure, you gather feedback. Each action reduces uncertainty. Stagnation multiplies it. Movement, even imperfect movement, creates direction. Waiting for motivation is a form of avoidance disguised as patience. It feels responsible, but it keeps you safe from effort. Execution removes that safety. It forces engagement. It demands energy, but it also returns control. When you execute daily, progress becomes predictable. You stop hoping things will change and start knowing they will. The strongest people are not the most hyped, the most confident, or the most talented. They are the most consistent. They show up when it's inconvenient, when it's uncomfortable, when it's unnoticed. That consistency becomes identity. In the end, motivation may start the journey, but execution finishes it. And those who understand this stop chasing feelings and start building results. Because action doesn't wait for belief, belief follows action.